Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, I'm not a fan of things going away. Sometimes I sound like a broken record because I'm constantly mentioning the past or mentioning the same things, but there's a reason I mention them all the time, and it's because there's a lack of closure. You know, things just happen, it's a little blip on the radar, it exists in the news cycle for an extended period of time, sometimes a day, sometimes, I don't know, a couple weeks. For the most part, not too long, and then it goes away and people simply forget it. Yeah, I don't know, that doesn't sit right with me. And obviously with the Biden administration, they want so badly to change the topic of conversation. Don't look at the past, look at this very out of context piece of data that proves that I'm the greatest. Don't look at the past, how inflation has made you poor, and if you're young and trying to build your life, don't look at the fact that you can't afford a home and probably won't be able to for, let's just call it the foreseeable future. No, don't look at that. Look at the fact that inflation is down from when I took office. Statistic good. Bidenomic work. Yeah, how about go, yourself? You don't just get to change the conversation and make the past or make history simply disappear. You don't get to run away from your track record. And one thing that Joe Biden should never get away with was his complete failure. The fall of Kabul, you could call it the fall of Afghanistan. It certainly is the fall of Afghanistan because the pain is still real and the pain is still relevant. Gold Star families have had enough and they're finally starting to speak the truth. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. I want to amplify one specific voice and of course just have a general conversation of the topic. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. Now this was a seriously powerful moment.
2 years has gone by, and where are we? To be frank, we're knee-deep in bullshit, is where we are. Everyone who held a key position in the military still has that position or has been promoted. John Kirby still sits on his perch, which apparently faces the opposite direction from where all the action was. Blinken continues to delay key evidence by ignoring delaying subpoenas. Not a single general slapped down their stars, which should have happened 2 years ago when Biden ignored his reliable intelligence. Not a single person has been held accountable. Our so-called leader can't seem to even utter their names in public, not even once. Mr. Biden has run his entire political campaign for 50 years as the family man. Well, I've got news for you, sir. The curtain has been lifting, and that campaign slogan will never work again. We have seen what's going on in your family, and even worse, we've seen how you've been treating us as Gold Star families. And there couldn't be anything more disgusting and cowardly than the way you have treated us. You are a disgrace to this nation. You have no business having ultimate command over our military, and I regret not saying that to your face when I had the opportunity in Dover. I felt it more important to bite my tongue, but I also had more important things on my mind at that time, like receiving my son's lifeless body stateside. While I stood there on the tarmac, watching you check your watch over and over again, all I wanted to do was shout out, "It's 2:30. But out of respect to the other grieving families, I bit my tongue once again. Well, as you could probably tell by now, I'm done biting my tongue. You, sir, stole their lives, their futures, their dreams, and have ripped apart 13 families. You cannot even man up and admit that. You, sir, gave us all the title Gold Star family. You, sir, discredit honor and integrity.
You know what I said earlier was people have had enough, and very often in my videos you'll hear me saying enough is enough. And to make a larger point here, I'm glad that people have had enough. I'm glad that people are reaching their breaking point. How much more is it going to take? How much more straw is going to be stacked on the camel's back until the camel can't handle the weight anymore? I feel like that's where we are, and especially when it comes to accountability. The fact that the US government and the American military can fail so disastrously that young lives can be lost, families can be destroyed, and things simply just continue on. It's almost as if the federal reaction is, things happen, deal with it. Yeah, I don't think shit happens is an appropriate standard here. And the basic standard that people were expecting isn't some sort of shameful Japanese seppuku ceremony. That's not what people are asking for or looking for. The frustration that is reaching a boiling point here with the Biden administration is the lack of basic human decency. It's been over 2 years since the fall of Afghanistan. It's crazy how time flies. And Joe never apologized. Joe Biden's reaction was blame it on the last guy. I did everything right. We secured a massive win of historical significance. I mean, that's the narrative this guy tried to paint. He hasn't had the decency to show these families the basic respect that they deserve. Frankly, that they and especially their sons and daughters earned. To selflessly put themselves in harm's way, to sacrifice themselves for a greater vision, patriotically for the country to serve. They deserve their legacies not only to be honored, but for their lives to mean something. And the message that we have received loud and clear from Joe and his lackeys is that their lives didn't mean something, or they didn't mean enough. Just cannon fodder. They didn't even mean enough for Joe to lift his head during the ceremony. He was, of course, more concerned of nap time coming up than showing an ounce of human decency during the day of that tragic ceremony. Joe Biden, the family guy, doesn't even have the basic decency to show respect to the families who have been ripped apart by this. He doesn't acknowledge them. He doesn't call them. Publicly, privately, he treats it as a PR issue. We need to just make this one go away. Just ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist. The same thing he did in East Palestine, Ohio. Joe Biden, the family man. Joe Biden, the caring and compassionate Democrat leader. Give me a break. I mean, I seriously need a break from all the garbage Democrat propaganda. Joe is such a good guy, such a wholesome, good lad. I don't know. I'm more on the side of these Gold Star families speaking their minds at the hearing just the other day. I'm with them 100%. And you know what? If it was Donald Trump who did the same thing, I'd have the exact same opinion. They claim Donald Trump was a heartless man, a selfish man. But in every single instance, I think Donald Trump proved the narrative's wrong and proved that the opposite was in fact the case. Speaking of selfish, what gives me the impression of someone being selfish is somebody who's worried about their own time and their own schedule after their actions caused the early death of 13 young men and women.
But it's going to be frustrating as a devil for people. They say, why can't I go back? Storm's over. Why can't I go back and look and see if I can find that wedding ring, or why I can find that album? Can't find that thing that I've lost in the house. It's really tough. Really, really tough. I didn't anything like that, but lightning struck my house. We had to be out of that house for about 7 months while it was repaired because so much damage was done to the house and half the house almost collapsed. And
somebody who speaks about their kitchen fire and their own personal stories and embellishes their own personal stories while greeting suffering residents who've lost everything in Maui, that to me screams selfish. Anyways, that's pretty much the thought for this video. Not much more needs to be said. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know that we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.